everyone, and welcome back to Life in the Fab Lane, a Maysteel podcast where we talk all things fabrication, engineering, and most importantly, partnerships. I'm your host, Lindsay Ojeda from Maysteel. Today, we're digging into a topic that many procurement professionals need to hear, and it's all about why good fab starts with engineering and how that reduces the risk in sourcing your custom enclosures. So if you're a procurement manager in charge of sourcing custom enclosures, stick around. This will be a great episode for you to understand how to de-risk your fabrication process by including an engineer. So let's talk about a scenario that I've heard quite a few times in the industry overall. You've got a tight deadline. Your team needs this custom enclosures built to spec to move forward. Your customer is pushing you to move up the timeline as well. There's a lot of pressure to get these out the door. So you send out your drawings, your models, you pick a competitive quote, and you move forward. Well, during this process, you've never really spoken with an engineering team member, or maybe you weren't aware that an engineering team member was not involved. So you move forward with production and then maybe delays start, right? Maybe there's a tolerance issue no one caught, or the enclosure needs a redesign, or the shop calls build with questions that you thought your team answered. Does this sound familiar? This is the hidden risk of fabrication without engineering support, without having someone on your team that's going to be your product expert within the shop, from concept to design to proto to mass production and beyond, right? So one thing about sourcing, and I'm sure everyone on here is familiar with this, is of course cost and lead time are important when sourcing custom enclosures. It also is about confidence, right? Your confidence in your supplier's quality, your confidence in their compliance, and your confidence in their ability to deliver on time. And one of the most overlooked ways to build that confidence is by choosing a fabricator who leads with engineering, whether that means an engineer who's dedicated or multiple engineers dedicated to your product. But again, someone who's going to follow that and help de-risk the process by being your voice on the shop floor. So, you could look at a shop who's just build to print without collaboration, but that early collaboration, asking the right questions, all the checks before the projects kick in. This is where leading with engineering prevents surprises, which I know is not something any customer wants to see once they reach production. So let's break down some of the ways that engaging engineering early can help with your fabrication project, as well as improve your overall production flexibility. Number one, reduce rework and redesign, right? This is a huge one because this affects your timeline. This could possibly affect your pricing. This can affect a whole gamut of things that really push towards your deadlines and your customers' deadlines. So having an engineer involved early ensures that the clarifications and the communication is delivered quickly and early in the process. Ensuring compliance, this is a huge one. Right now, we're talking to a lot of customers who need certain items like BABA compliance, or they're working with NEMA standards. If your engineer is not involved, let's say you have a fantastic model, but something may not translate to your compliance or your industry rating, it's going to be something that affects your entire production, because you may have to go back and take a look at versions that you need to make to your current line or additional modifications, which again can lead to an increase in your price or an increase to your lead time. And the third is optimizing materials and design for your cost efficiency, right? Maybe you have your design and you say, hey, this is best done in stainless, but after a review with someone on the engineering team, they say the same goal can be accomplished with a hot rolled material. That right there could be a game changer. So having an engineer come in and really understand how you take model to sheet metal and help you optimize your materials, maybe also readily available materials as well. Let's say you're localizing your product from an overseas manufacturer, is going to be a huge help. So it not only brings in the expertise from the team, but it can also really help making sure these changes are done from day one and you avoid playing catch up later. So how do you find this, right? You're looking for a new fabrication partner. You're having the initial RFP questions. The quotes are in your ballpark and what you're looking for. Some of the things that I suggest you ask your fabrication partner during this shortlist process, do they have in-house engineering expertise specific to enclosures? So it's always best to have someone who understands, again, how to take your model to metal is what I like to say. So it's one thing to understand the model. It's another to how that model turns into sheet metal reality on the shop floor. Are they reviewing your files for DFM before moving forward with your prototypes or your FAIs, right? Because once you lock in those designs, you're going to be able to make DFM recommendations and improvements along the way. And that benefits both parties. It improves your throughput. It improves your product quality. It negates the cost of quality that you're seeing with these products. And it's an overall win-win. Can they recommend smarter material choices? So again, I mentioned this before, right? Are there things that could improve your lead time? Are there ways that you can test a more readily available material? All those matter. And these little items may seem small at first, but they can definitely add up, especially if you're in the industries like Maysteel's in, infrastructure, data center. Those are pretty mission critical industries where there's not a lot of room for error along the way. And the last one that teed it right up. Are they experienced in your application, right? Do they understand the challenges that your industry is facing? Do they have experience from their other customers that they can pass on to you that helps you succeed? It's definitely beneficial when you work with someone who is within the industry that you are targeting as well, and especially from an engineering perspective, because more than likely they've either come across that problem or it's something that they are familiar with from another product line. For example, our team works heavily with utility and infrastructure enclosures, and we see a lot of that pass on to the data center side of things, right? There's a lot of common knowledge between the markets that we serve that we can use to benefit our customers as well. And the most important question that you should be asking is, does that fabricator treat engineering as part of the process, or do they treat it as an add-on? Because that's the main difference between a fab vendor and a true fabrication partner. So I think it's important because you look at anything and from a fabrication perspective, and the one thing you always want to address is, how do we get to our targets around cost, lead time, and quality? And most of the time, the answer begins with engineering, if not all the time. So if you're tired of reactive fabrication and you're ready for a partner that helps you de-risk from day one, it's time to rethink what sourcing looks like and possibly your qualifications from a partner, especially from an engineering first perspective. Thanks for tuning in to Life in the Fab Lane. Don't forget to subscribe and share this episode with someone in your procurement or sourcing team. I'm Lindsay Ojeda. Thanks for spending a few minutes with us, and we'll catch you next time.